Years ago, sitting down with one of my mentors, and he said, Tony, don't read your press clippings. Welcome to another Rare Leader Conversation. I'm Tony Jalen, joined by the wonderful
Danielle Jalen.
Yes. Today, we're going to talk about that. How to not get caught up in the hype of things. I remember years ago when I was sitting down with my mentor, and he told me that thought, don't get caught up in the press clippings. I didn't really understand what he meant. It was a time when, I was excelling in business, things were growing. People were like, oh my gosh, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. And I was kind of feeling good, right? Because I had worked really hard. We had worked really hard. However, finally it's starting to feel like we're getting that recognition for the things that we were doing. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people, is that when all of a sudden, the scoreboard is lighting up, and also the other challenge is when the scoreboard isn't lighting up. How do you find the balance between the two? How do you keep your feet where your feet are at and not, get too caught up in the highs and being able to manage the lows? And that's around our conversation here today. Because it's not always an easy thing to do, is it, Danielle?
No.
No. Especially when you been working so hard to do things. And this reminded me of another story when I was in West Bend, Wisconsin. And there was this brand new separate club. Actually, not a new separate club. It was an old separate club that was bought by someone. And the individual behind the counter, the owner, he just seemed different. And the longer we spoke, the more I began to uncover his true story. And it wasn't that he was the recent owner of a supper club. It was that he was one of the most wealthiest guys in all of Wisconsin. And I'm like, wait a second here. How did you get to this point? Because I'm always curious of how people succeeded, like the art of success, the science of success. And he says, you know what? Don't get distracted by the scoreboard. In other words, don't read the press clippings. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, when I was in the investment world, people would think that one idea would last forever. And it would keep on feeding them and feeding them and feeding them. He goes, well, nothing lasts forever. So you got to go ahead and plan for it when it doesn't, or find another new idea to continually grow upon. And I think as parents, we're going through the recruiting process right now with our son for volleyball. And that's just a different experience in itself, because we're getting different emails from different coaches and it's things that get excited. But I think for me, the challenge is in terms of how to not get caught up in, listening to the cheers and ignoring the jeers, is how do you find the balance between celebrating that recognition in the moment and not letting it distract you?
Well, I think part of it is, if you're celebrating the excitement of whatever's happening, whether you're hitting sales goals or you're on a weight loss journey or health and fitness journey or in the recruiting process, I think it's important to understand what steps you've been taking to get there, and just to remind yourself to continue to stay focused on those steps, that the hard work that you've been putting in is now, you're reaping the benefits of it, but that the hard work can't stop. And I think there has to be some way to be able to remind yourself of those, whether you're journaling it or you're tracking it on a calendar, or however you're doing it, just understanding that success and just happen overnight, you've been doing things to get there.
Yeah, that's a good call out. And it just reminded me, I got this gift years ago called the One Thing Core Values. And on the back of it, it says, in a world full of choices, deciding what matters most can be tricky. We know extraordinary success is about leaning into our priorities and avoiding distractions. But how do we know when to say yes and when to say no? You have a compass within you, you just need to find it. And it really comes down to your values. And like you said, okay, remember the things that got you to where you're at right now. There's a podcast or something that I heard last week. Good times create weak people. And I believe that when you're pursuing things, at least in my experience, is that distractions are going to come. when you're pursuing things. But like you said, is you got to keep the main thing the main thing, and not let up on the work. And why though? Is it because maybe this might be a smoke screen to something bigger, or could it be? Um, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say here. How do you honor that process that got you from point A to point B? How have you done it? Because like whether it be weight loss, whatever it be finance, whatever it may be, it's easy to let that celebration moment be the distraction.
Oh, it can be, and I think it's changing your mindset on how you're looking at it. Like I read something that said, you work really hard to hit this goal and you want to celebrate, but is that celebration helping you continue to hit that goal
Um,
or to move on, or is it hurting you? So it's like, we look at, oh, I hit a weight loss goal. Let's go have ice cream to celebrate. Why are you celebrating with ice cream? Because that treat over time is what took you to where you were trying to leave from. So why are you celebrating with something like that? So it just changing the way that you look at like how you're using your celebrations or what you're celebrating. Um, is it helping you continue to your goal or is it bringing you backwards?
See, folks, I married up. It's so true. That's a very well said point. Is the celebration going to help you in continuation pursuit of that goal, or is it going to hurt you? Because you don't see those celebrations impact you, right then and there. Or it could possibly, if you're going on the streets and tearing down light poles or whatnot. So I think that's the second thing right there, is to ask yourself, is the celebration going to help me, or is it going to hurt me? I remember hearing a story about, oh my, I just seized that. Maybe it's still going through, but a story about Emmitt Smith when he won a Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl that night, and the next day he was in the gym and doing weightlifting. And someone in the gym was like, "Whoa, you just won the Super Bowl." He goes, "I just won a Super Bowl. I'm now working for my next." I think that was a great comment. Now, I'm not sure on your side, Danielle, am I frozen on your side, or can you actually see me moving?
You're moving.
All right, fantastic. So right now, everyone, I am looking at a frozen screen of me. And so I'm hoping the look that I'm seeing is not the look that you all are seeing. And if it is, hey, this is a podcast, video podcast for a reason. You get to see the real side of things too. So I think that was number two, is ask yourself, is this celebration going to help me or hurt me? I think the third thing is, who are you surrounding yourself with? And also, who are you maybe telling about that celebration or having partaken in that celebration with you? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you somewhat need to guard that because sometimes it's not everyone's on your side cheering for you. And that's one thing that, you know, who you surround yourself with is important. And I think that you need to be able to trust the people that are around you to be honest with you. Um, and so I do think you need to be selective because sometimes people don't mean to tear you down um, through the celebration that you're having or through the excitement or through the struggles. I think that who you surround yourself with, do they have good intentions of how they're helping you, um, and how is that helping you continue to move forward?
I think that's a good point too. I mean, I think, by surrounding yourself with people that are going to go ahead and join in your celebration positively, but also I think you got to have those people who are going to keep you in check to make you remind you that you're cool, but not that cool. You still got work to do. And that's what I sometimes, as a leader, as a father, as a husband, that, I mean, just my son and I were talking yesterday about one of the recruitment emails that he received. I said, you know what? Stay humble, stay hungry. And be mindful of all you share this with, because this is just one moment, and it's a great recognition. However, though, we're not finished yet. We're just getting started. He's like, all right, so just, be mindful. I go, absolutely. So we had a great conversation around it, but it was challenging for me as a father to have that conversation, because I want him as my son to be excited. But I think what it caused him to do, it says, okay, I got to double down more, which I was really proud of too. It's like, he's like, I got to work harder now. He goes, and he said to me, he goes, job's not finished. I'm like, huh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I think those are three things in terms of how to stay grounded, how to stay where your feet at. Celebrate the highs, but manage the lows. Journal it, looking back at your values and what's important. Ask yourself, is this celebration going to help me in further pursuit of my goals, or is it going to hurt me? And third, being very mindful of the people that you surround yourself with, and be mindful who you should share your successes with, because people are people. And as much sometimes people want to be excited for you, there's times which they're not being excited for you. And so you want to make sure to embrace that positive energy out there. What other things would you add when it comes to, not being distracted by the scoreboard, not reading all the press clippings, not being caught up in the cheers?
I think probably like the biggest thing for me is to understand like a lot of times you go through like downtime and we're like, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. But understanding like the process that you're following and the daily things that you're doing to move forward, that you're also reminding yourselves when times are good, this too will pass. And so not to get hung up in the highs and not to get hung up in the lows, because all the times are going to pass. It's how you continue to move forward through either one that is going to continue to either move you forward or keep you stuck. And so I think the biggest thing is just, in the good times, this too shall pass. And in the bad times, this too shall pass. And so not getting stuck in either of the situations.
No, that's well said. And because part of, you heard the recently, Bob Dan Hurley, is it Dan Hurley? I think it's Danny Hurley, the head coach of UConn. 2 years ago, he said when they lost, he's like, take advantage of this now because we're coming. Like when we are there, we're gonna be there. And when they won the semifinal to go into the championship game, they were like, whoa, like all excited, like, oh my gosh. He goes, no, we've been doing the work and we expected to be here. Now we gotta go out and finish it. So I mean it's you want to respect losing, you want to respect quote unquote losing, winning at the same time, right? To stay grounded. And on my way to my office yesterday morning, I thought of this. I said, without failure, there can be no success. And this next part goes to what you said regarding the celebration choice, right? Are the choices that you're making today putting you on a path to achieve the life that you want to live? Because the life that you are living today is a manifestation of the choices that you have made already. And the beautiful thing about choices, though, is that they are all within your control. So that's my final thoughts for today. We thank you all again for joining us for another Rare Leader conversation. Remember, Rare Leader stands for a leader who's resourceful, adaptable, resilient, and want to engage with others. And our goal and our mission is to go ahead and provide value to you, the tools and the resources and the community to help you achieve your best life personally, professionally, and in your community. Until next week, I'm Tony Jalen, joined by wonderful
Danielle Jalen.
Onward and Upwards.